we will try to see a very interesting development of our freedom movement. Development regarding Azad Hind Fauz or INA, Indian National Army, and a great hero of our freedom movement, Subhash Chandra Bose, right. Okay. So, you will see that Azad Hind Fauz also contributed. You must be knowing INA, but it is also called Azad Hind Fauz or Indian National Army. So, they contributed in our freedom movement. How they contributed in our freedom movement? They were fighting our war, right, from India or from outside India. So, from you can say India also, and then from outside India also. So, what was their contribution? So, this is a very important topic. Sometimes they are asking question also, sometimes they ask very plain question that discuss the contribution of Subhash Chandra Bose in freedom movement. So, in different phases you have to consider Subhash Chandra Bose, right. He was a supporter of Gandhian movement also. Then as a Congress president also he contributed. Then he formed forward bloc. Then he came out of India. He talked to, you can say, all those forces who were against the British Empire, and then he launched a movement against British Empire, right. So, we will see that journey. Okay, done. So, Azad Hind Fauz or INA movement. Now, when we say Azad Hind Fauz or INA movement, what we have to remember that this Azad Hind Fauz or INA movement, when they are asking, you have to mention that there was one early phase of Azad Hind Fauz or INA, early phase, and then there was a phase when Subhash Bose joined. This is important to understand. So, before Subhash Chandra Bose also, there was some development regarding INA or Azad Hind Fauz, and what we have to remember that the idea of INA, this idea was conceived, in Malaya by Mohan Singh, right. So, we can mention the first point, right, we can mention that the idea of INA, right, was first conceived in Malaya, right, by Mohan Singh, right. He was an Indian officer of the British Indian Army, and he started collecting the force, Mohan Singh. Then second point we can add that Ras Bihari Bose, right. He was also an Indian revolutionary who escaped from India. He was living in Japan for many years. So, he also played important role. In this formation of INA, right, in the formation of INA, Ras Bihari Bose. So, Mohan Singh, Ras Bihari Bose, and then you start with the role of Subhash Chandra Bose. So, we can add that Subhash Chandra Bose, right, Subhash Chandra Bose made INA an effective instrument for the freedom of India after 1943. After 1943, he made INA an effective instrument, right. But what happened before 1943? how Subhash Chandra Bose, right, started thinking of this INA, right, how he reached here. So, this journey is also important. So, Subhash Chandra Bose, we can add that Subhash Chandra Bose was son of a successful barrister, right, from Cuttack, right, Odisha. Is it fine? Academically, he was very brilliant. And he qualified in ICS, right, ICS exam, but he resigned, right. Why he resigned? After Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and after resigning, right, he participated in non-cooperation movement, right. So, we can add that he joined national movement, participated in non-cooperation movement, came under the influence of C.R. Das, very popular leader of Bengal. But after the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement, he was disappointed, right. He was disappointed. He even criticized Gandhiji, right. What you have done, it is a calamity, right. So, this kind of effort. Then we can add that after that he came, right, started, right, under influence of socialism, right, he came under the influence of socialism, and in 1928, with Jawaharlal Nehru, along with Jawaharlal Nehru, he formed Independence for India League, Independence for India League, right. And then he was instrumental in demanding Purna Swaraj. So, in 1929, he played important role, right, in taking up the cause of Purna Swaraj. Taking up the cause of Purna Swaraj. So, he started, right, helping, you can say, organizing the youth, played important role with Jawaharlal Nehru in that sense. He supported civil disobedience movement also, and in 1938 he became so popular that he became the president of Congress. 1938 he became the president of Congress, and he was again re-elected in Tripuri in 1939. He was re-elected in Tripuri session, right. So, again he became the Congress president in Tripuri, but in 1939 something happened. As he defeated Gandhiji's nominee Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, Gandhiji was not happy, and because of this Subhash Chandra Bose resigned from the party, right, because Gandhiji was disappointed, and he formed his own party in 1939. So, the next point, that Subhash Chandra Bose formed his own party in 1939. This is called what? Forward Bloc. Forward Bloc, right. And he wanted to utilize the opportunity of the Second World War. He started, right, attacking actually, right, he started writing, right, making a speech against the British government, wanted to use this opportunity. He was arrested and house arrest, and then he escaped from India, very interesting story. He escaped from India, he went to Afghanistan, then Moscow. After Moscow, he reached Berlin, probably met Hitler, then right went to Japan. All these development, right. So he came out. After that, he came out of India, and it is said that in 1942, he raised Indian Legion. Indian Legion, right. And after that, he joined what? Indian National, you can say, right, INA, Indian National Army. So 1943, he started organizing, right, Indian National Army. Fine. So I hope now you are getting it. I told you that Azad Hind Fauz movement or INA movement, 1943, Subhas Bose joined. And I told you the background of Subhas Chandra Bose, how Subhas Chandra Bose, right, played important role in our national movement till 1943. And after 1943, greater role, Subhas Chandra Bose, right. So he played important role after that. So after 1943, what he did? He started organizing INA, and then you will see that after 1943, right, we can add that he, right, made this organization very effective with around 45,000 soldiers, very effective organization. Then he set up the provisional government right of free India, provisional government of free India, right, in October 1943, right, where? In Singapore. Fine. So in October 1943, right, he actually, right, he set up provisional government, and after that he made 2 INA headquarters in Rangoon and in Singapore. He made 2 INA headquarters in Rangoon and Singapore, right. Then recruits were sought from civilians, funds were gathered, even women regiments formed, Rani Jhansi regiment, right. Then, right, he met, right, he met, you can say, those leaders of Japan also, and along with Japanese in 1944, in right, in 1944, he started a movement. And in a broadcast on Azad Hind Fauz radio, he addressed to Gandhiji. Right. So he prepared and then he addressed to Gandhiji. What was this address? Right. What he said? He made an appeal to Gandhi. What he said? Father of our nation, right, we ask for your blessings in this holy war, right, of India's liberation, right. So in 1944, he launched a Holy War of India's liberation. India's liberation. Holy War of India's liberation. Right. So, this is very emotional appeal to Gandhiji. I mentioned that in 1939 there was a difference of opinion, right, and he had to establish his own party, he had to leave India, and see the emotional link. In 1944 he is addressing Gandhiji, and right, he is saying that India's last war of independence, India's last war of independence has begun, and father of nation, father of our nation, in this holy war of India's liberation, we ask for your blessing. So, this kind of comment he made. So, this is very emotional, right, event of our freedom movement, right. And after that, one INA battalion commanded by Shahnawaz Khan, right, was allowed to accompany the Japanese army, to the India-Burma front, and to participate in Imphal campaign. So, you will see a great moment, but right, the situation was changing in the Second World War. Imphal campaign failed, right. You will see that, right, now that hope of INA liberating the nation also, right, you will see that also became right, meaningless, and there was a reported death, kill, you can say there was an air crash and Subhas Bose was killed. So, he was reported killed, right, in an air crash. We do not have clarity regarding these events. There are many versions, but it is generally believed that his probable death was in 1945, and there are many committees regarding the inquiry of this death. So, probable air crash, but there are opinion that no, he did not die. So, anyhow, so there was air crash, and the attempt to liberate India failed. By these means failed. Fine. So, Subhas Bose played important role, organized INA, launched a campaign, sought blessings from father of nation, but right, because of right some reason, right, you will see that he could not liberate India, but you cannot forget his contribution. Now, after his death, we can add that after his death, right, three INA officers, G.S. Dhillon, Prem Sehgal, and Shahnawaz Khan, right, were arrested, and they were charged with waging war against the British king, and they were put on trial, right, right, in the Red Fort, This is very important development, and when this trial began, different circumstances, you can say different atmosphere, and one more movement began because of the influence of right Subhas Chandra Bose. This is called INA prisoner, prisoner, right, release movement, INA prisoner release movement, and in that movement many defense lawyer, nationalist lawyers participated, like who all participated, like lawyer like Bhula Bhai Desai, Bhula Bhai Desai, like Tej Bahadur Sapru, Tej Bahadur Sapru, right, like Jawaharlal Nehru, even Muhammad Ali Jinnah, right, even Jinnah. So they all participated and they were successful. They got unprecedented support, right. So this movement is very, very important, and it also contributed in the popularity of Subhash Chandra Bose, and it contributed in our national movement. So there was a pressure created on them, and in 1945-46 they started realizing that it is difficult to continue now. So Subhash Chandra Bose, Azad Hind Fauz movement or INA movement played very important role. So what is the significance? What is the significance of this INA movement or Azad Hind Fauz movement or the contribution of Subhash Chandra Bose? So we can add that with the slogan Dilli Chalo, with the slogan Jai Hind, right, they inspired nationalist, they inspired nationalist, and they became the symbol of unity and heroism. They became symbol of unity and heroism, right. So they contributed in our, right, national movement, right. No one can forget their contribution, right. So whenever they are asking question regarding the contribution of Azad Hind Fauz movement, you must divide your answer before Subhas, after Subhas, and even after death of Subhash Chandra Bose. Suppose if they ask you question regarding the contribution of Subhash Chandra Bose, so Subhash Chandra Bose played important role as a Gandhian, played important role as a president of the Congress, played important role as a socialist and the communist, played important role as a organizer of INA, right. So you have to highlight different dimension of Subhash Chandra Bose, right.